And today we're going to be talking about manufacturing, engineering, technology, and the trades. I know we have a great panel here today, and maybe I'll let them introduce themselves. Is that okay? You feel good about that? That way I won't butcher your last name or anything like that. So let's do that then. Why don't we, obviously you're going to be in a different spot than my Zoom. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, please go right ahead.
My name is Chris Thompson, and I am the Student Success Coach at Prospect High School. This is my first year at Prospect. Before I came to Prospect, I was a sixth grade math teacher in District 25. I'm excited to be here. I like working with kids, and I'm excited about my new role.
My name is Jack Hoffman, and I am an engineering teacher at Prospect. This is also my first year at Prospect and my first year teaching. And I'm really excited to finally be a teacher and also be educating the young. So I'm glad to be here.
I'm Tom Ringrose. I'm actually I'm not a ROS teacher this year. This year I'm only a project lead the way teacher at Prospect High School. It's my third year here in the district, and really enjoying where we're at and seeing our program growing and our students taking advantage of the new opportunities that are coming up every year.
Hi, I'm Michelle Charapata. I'm a structural engineer with the Consulting Engineers Group in Mount Prospect, Illinois. I've been engineering for a little over 20 years, and I'm on this panel because I've gotten a chance to have some interns from the District 214 high schools over at our office. And I think it's a great program.
Well, thank you all. Thank you for introducing yourselves. And, first of all, I'd like to welcome Chris to our new teacher group here. And by the way, I should say who I am. I'm Dan Ludwigson. I'm from Hersey High School, and I've been a technology teacher for 29 years here. This is my last year. So this is the last time I'm doing this, which is kind of sad. But I'm excited to be with you today. So, questions are important, so please, from the panel, please ask any questions you may have, but maybe I'll start the ball rolling. Michelle, please describe a typical day for you. What does engineer do?
So my role at the company, typically I'm reviewing engineering calculations that the younger engineers are doing. I'm running probably 3 to 4 projects at a time in different phases. Our company does the precast. We're a precast engineering specialist, so we do the precast design for stadiums and parking garages, prisons, data centers. And I don't do any field work anymore. My previous companies that I work for, I would actually go out to the field and be able to see some of the projects being built. But mainly what I'm doing is, again, just reviewing calculations that the younger engineers are doing, helping them kind of problem solve with some of the more difficult engineering tasks.
Wow. So describe to me, like, what type of math skills do help you get through your day? I mean, do you think math is important for this particular field?
It is. So in my field industry, we don't do too many, we're not sitting there doing calculus problems or anything like that. A lot of it's still just a lot of basic algebra. And I tell a lot of the younger students that there is an opportunity to use a lot more math. Certainly we took a lot of math in college. I think if we'd have taken a couple more 400 level classes, we could have gotten math minors in mathematics. So those are really difficult classes. So this depends if you're doing a lot of research. You can use math by you're doing research, taking data, and then a lot of our code books are there's formulas developed in our code books that we use on a daily basis, and those math formulas were developed by engineering researchers, taking the data and basically making a math formula to fit that data. And the computer programs, we use a lot of powerful engineering programs that involves a lot of math when you're programming all those. But for my for my current industry, we do a lot more practical work. So we're dealing with, designing the actual precast pieces. And then, if there's repairs that need to be done out in the field, we have to problem solve and kind of, figure out how to use our math to solve some of the repair issues that we have out there. So it's not too difficult. Again, I think we use more of the formulas coming out of the code and then just the basic algebra that goes with it. But there's certainly a lot of opportunity to use more math than that in a lot of different fields of engineering.
That's really neat. Now, tell me a little bit about your educational background. What school did you go to? What high school did you go to? We'll start there.
Well, actually, I graduated from Streamwood High School, and I did not go to college right away. I went into the Army for
I think she froze. Can you guys hear me, Jack, or anyone? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. I think she froze. I was ready to thank her for my service. Maybe we'll transition into Tom. Tom, tell me a little bit about the pathway, the engineering pathway and manufacturing pathway in District 214. Could you touch upon it? I know that Prospect is so similar to all of the other schools. So
we've got some really phenomenal pathway options that our students can take advantage of, both for those students that are looking for a 2- and 4-year university program, as well as students that are looking to move into more of a trade-directed route post high school. So we've got opportunities for students if they're looking in the manufacturing realm. We have our fabrication classes where students with the opportunities to do wood and metal fabrication. They'll look through the machining side of the world and expand from mills and into the lathes and expanding beyond that. That builds into a lot of our other internship programs and getting a chance to get out into the industry in and around the area. We've got a number of business partners that are constantly hoping to bring more students into their environment to get engrossed into the world of manufacturing and the trades themselves. On the engineering pathway side, it generally tends to be geared more towards our 2- and 4-year university student with those types of plans. We have our CAD program to begin with, give the students the opportunities to learn how to design in 3 dimensions, work with industry standard 3D dimensioning software, while also going in and getting the exposure to some of our manufacturing side of the world. We also are going from there into our Project Lead the Way side of the world, where we start out with our engineering essentials, where students are able to get their feet wet, get a look at what the different courses that are offered in the pathway look like. They'll get the chance to explore some of what they would do in our civil engineering course, and what they would do in our digital electronics courses, what we do in the computer integrated manufacturing. Those are kind of our 3 mid-stage. So we look at engineering essentials starting in the freshman year and a 4-year plan. We've got our 3 alternative courses down in the center for your sophomore and junior year. And then as we move into our senior years, when we tend to look into students doing the Principles of Engineering is our capstone engineering class at this point. Its objective is that students are exposed to essentially what 1 year of a mechanical engineer or an engineering student's course load would look like. So they look at thermoengineering, and they look at thermodynamics and statics and electrical and mechanical. So all the major disciplines get touched on. We don't do much in the chemical engineering side of the world. That we tend to leave more in just the chemistry side. And then we also have our AP Physics C is now rolled in as part of our engineering pathway for our advanced students, for those that are looking to get still looking to the AP credit for college courses, but they've expanded into the calculus for their physics calculations rather than the algebraic side of their physics calculations. So we've got a bevy of options for students to work through, and then even moving into internships and side like that. Oh, Jack, I'm gonna leave that one for you for the aerospace side, because that's one that I have not touched at all. So that's definitely one that Jack has more experience on than myself.
Definitely. So to talk about the aerospace a little bit, our aerospace engineering course at Prospect and some other schools in D214 basically gives you experience in the fundamentals of becoming an aerospace engineer. So things like, understanding different control surfaces on planes, understanding how fluids work, talking about how air is passing over a surface. And through that, we also learn some basic navigation skills, things like that. And that's just the first semester part of the course. After that, we kind of meet off with a Lewis University instructor for a few days so students can get that Lewis University college credit through our aerospace and engineering coursework. After that, during the second semester, we go into a little bit more of rocketry and flight kind of physiology and navigation. So students are exploring that. And then the next step after taking this engineering or aerospace engineering course during their junior year, students will hopefully then move to working at the Lewis University, or partially D214 owned and Lewis University kind of ran hangar at Executive Airport, where they will learn basic ground crew skills, basically becoming ground crew of an aircraft, as well as some dabbling a little bit more in flight preparation and flight planning, basically breaking off into either becoming like a aerospace mechanic or becoming a pilot. From there, hopefully the students will continue their aerospace engineering education, whether that going into trade school or a four-year university. So usually with aerospace engineering, we're seeing students that are juniors and seniors. Occasionally we'll have a sophomore in there, but it's more of a junior senior course layout for that.
Well, I want to tell you, I want to go to Prospect. All of that sounds great. It's fantastic. Hey, before we went to Tom, I'm sorry, Michelle, we had a technical difficulty there. You kind of froze up, and you froze up right at the point where you were going to tell us about your educational background. And first of all, you did mention that you served our country, and I'd like to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. And I studied civil engineering there. And as I entered the program, I realized that I really liked the structural portion because civil engineering encompasses a lot of different fields of engineering. But I was really more interested in the structural engineering. So I graduated in about 4.5 years and then started working in Rosemont, Illinois for a civil engineering company there. They had a small structure department, and a few years after that, I wound up at the current company that I'm at now, which is in Mount Prospect. So I have a bachelor's in civil engineering. I did not pursue a master's because at the time I'd gone through 4 years in the military and then 4.5 years of school. So I really wanted to just get a job and make some money.
Amy, after all that work, that's 8 years of probably not eating quality food. So
Right.
congratulations and thank you for all that you do. Chris, what are some of the external experiences that students can experience, going through D214 schools?
Okay, well, my job as a student success coach is to work with kids or students on career exploration. And then I also help set them up with internships and then apprenticeships. So typically we're right now working on internships. And so I have kids, they can fill out an application and then they come in and they meet with me. I learn a little bit about them, what their career pathway is, what they'd like to do for an internship, what their interests are. And I learn a little bit about what activities they have going on. And then we go to a career specialist who helps go to our partner and find out different opportunities for the kids. And then for our students, and then we come back and we talk with the career specialist and present the different opportunities that we might have for the student. And then the student can pick their internship from there. So that's what we're currently working on.
So, I mean, it's important to note that not only does 214 give you the experiences in the classroom with such great teachers like Jack and Tom, we allow you to get out in the field and feel the experiences out there too, and meet wonderful people like Michelle. Just a question to the panel. And by the way, I don't know, can they present questions? I see some questions coming in now. The first question that came in is, when is students able to start internship apprenticeship programs? So I guess that would be for Chris.
To do an internship, you have to be at least 16 years old. And then for the apprenticeships, it's usually for seniors, but they started the summer before their senior year. And then, so it's the summer and their whole senior year as well.
Awesome. And I know that at Hersey, I can speak for the students here. So many of the students take advantage of it. When they come back into my class, they always talk about the experiences that they had seeing, industry and engineers working, and I mean, it really does make a big difference. So I guess this question will be for the panel. How can high school students or maybe eighth graders are watching this right now too, I think, incoming students into District 214. How can they be prepared for their field of study? And maybe I'll start with Michelle. What would be advice that you would give to an incoming student or a current student, of course?
I guess if you have the opportunities, which seems like your school district does, is just to take advantage of the several STEM programs and even this internship program. I think it was just a few years ago when I started getting some of the high school interns, and I hadn't realized that they were that this program was available for them, and I think it's really fantastic. I mean, if you're going into engineering, you're going to be doing a lot of math and whatnot, but any kind of STEM activities or any interest you have in that, to pursue those if you can.
Now, Jack, what high school did you graduate from?
I actually graduated from Hersey High School.
I know you did. That's why I baited you there. Tell me about your experiences here at Hersey, Jack.
My experience at Hersey was actually fantastic. I loved going to high school. For the career pathway, at least, for my first 4 or 3 years, I kind of bounced around. I tried graphics. I tried, the IT classes at Hersey. I dab a little bit. I looked at the auto stuff. However, it wasn't until my senior year that I really kind of decided that I wanted to, explore the IT career path a little bit more. And that's when I got my A+ certification as well as my Net+ certification. And I thought those were great kind of exploratory steps that I took in, figuring out my future. And kind of to talk about our last question a little bit too, I think the best way a student can prepare themselves for any career pathway that they might be interested in is just taking the jump. Even if it's something that you thought you never in a million years that you would, be when you grew up or anything like that. If it just interested you a little bit, take the jump, because that experience in the class will, teach you the things you might enjoy, the things you might not enjoy, the things you're good at, and it'll give you a little bit more information for you to choose your career pathway in the future. And also just to remember that it's high school. If you mess up and you decide, hey, I don't want to be a home ec person, then you can join a CTE career path after and see if that works out for you. So every decision high school students make is not, set in stone, and they can choose a career pathway even as late as senior year that they might be interested in, and make a, choice for their future that might, set them off on something that'll change their life. So.
Boy, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'll speak for myself. Obviously, I've been at Hersey a long time. I'm also a Hersey grad, and I went through the printing program here, and I ended up becoming a printer. But, all roads have curves in it. And here I came back and taught the program. And, but if I didn't try that in high school, I still remember my older brother saying, go take this class. Everyone loves it. And I thought, well, why not? I will. And it ended up changing my life for the better. So I do have a couple questions that have come in here. The first one is, any plans for introducing internships or apprenticeship programs to freshmen and juniors? So I guess maybe if I were to rephrase that, people under 16.
They must be 16 to do an internship. And then to do the apprenticeship, there's a lot of coursework. They have to have at least 2 courses in their pathway, and it takes, it's a special schedule. So they might go to school one day, and then the next day they might go to their apprenticeship. So it really, for the apprenticeship, it's only open for seniors because of the programming that they have to do and all the hours that they have to put into it. So basically that's why apprenticeships are only allowed for senior years.
And sometimes as a time educator that seniors are much more serious, or not so much serious, but they're a little bit more focused, I think is the term that I would like to use. Freshmen can be focused too, but they still have a ways to learn a little bit more knowledge and so forth. So another question comes in here is, my son is interested in coding, but wants to get into engineering. What kind of engineering courses would be good for him? And maybe I'll throw Tom under the bus on this one. What do you think, Tom?
All of them. To be
Yeah.
to be honest, at this point, Engineering Essentials has a coding aspect to it. SIM, the Computer Integrated Manufacturing, has coding in it. Digital Electronics has coding in it, and Principles of Engineering has coding in it. So if your student is taking, these different courses, they'll be exposed to block-based coding. They will be exposed to a C-based variant. They'll be exposed to Python, and they might be exposed to Arduino as well. So they've got a bevy of opportunities, and that's like you're talking the robotic arm languages, be it ABB, G code on the CNC machines, or you name them. We got a lot that roll through. But my recommendation is going to be, regardless of what area they desire to code in, make things. Doesn't matter what it is. Be curious about something and make things. Whether you are coding it, whether you're making a robot to go with it, if you're making a useless box that has a switch on it, then when you push it, it jumps up and turns the switch off. Do something that is your creation. That's really going to tell you, because as an engineer, we make things. That's what we do. And if you're not interested in making things, then there's some other pieces you need to start taking some other exploration into.
I agree. In my engineering classes, the students that have achieved much greatness, and we have so many here at all D214 schools, but there's students from Hersey that are at GM's Proving Ground, SpaceX, and everywhere, and all of those kids just had that, I don't know, that something in them that always wanted to figure out, how does this work, and I want to build things. So, and we do have opportunities in building things too. I mean, we do have our Robot Rumble program, and we have high mileage cars, and we have US First robotics also. So we have multiple robots that we can build, and I don't know of any other district that does that. So I'd also like to throw in a plug for, although we are in engineering, we do have full coding classes here, programming classes here. And in all of our schools, we have we do have computer programming and AP computer programming, but we also have programs that are set aside for building networks and other type classes. So please ask your counselors for that. So I do have a couple more questions here. Chris, you're on the queue here. The question is, my daughter will be a senior next year. Does she have to apply for an internship now?
Well, right now we're taking applications for the spring of this coming year. So our application process, our application closes October 31st for the spring. So that would be from January 2023 to May 2023. And then it's going to open up again in January. And it goes from January until the day before spring break. And that will be for applications for the summer of 2023 and fall of 2024. So, when we're looking at different internships for the students, we want them to kind of look at what activities they have going on, because sometimes if they've got a semester where there's a lot of activities going on, they maybe wouldn't have as much time to do the internship. So a lot of the time, it's a good idea to come in. Oh, am I? Oh, okay. A lot of the time, it's a good idea to come in and meet with me, and we can decide when would be a good time for the student to be working on an internship.
Awesome. I have a couple bio med questions, but Chris, you're still on board here, because one just came in, so I thought that I would bring this one up right away. For Wheeling High School students, who does the contact for the internships be? So you can always go to your counselor at Wheeling. Any of our schools have outstanding counselors, so that's for anyone's general information about any questions about any of our classes. All of our counselors in 214 have been trained on this, but I don't know. Do we know the specific person at Wheeling?
Yes. So it's Angela Ferraza.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, this one's tough. I don't know if we're gonna have a good answer on this one, but any suggestions on biotechnology pathways? We've had two questions on this, and the other question is, does biomed engineering fall under engineering pathway or health sciences pathway? So I guess they're kind of different as I read them. I guess maybe I'll take the biomed engineering question maybe, or Tom or Jack, you can please chime in. We currently do not have a engineering class on the books for this at this time. In Project Lead the Way, they do have classes that teach this subject, but 214 has not yet brought this class on board. But my suggestion is to take all the engineering you can, because all the principles that we teach within our engineering classes can clearly help you and assist you if you go on into biomed engineering. Jack or
And
Tom,
if I can add a piece onto that, well, biomedical is clearly one of the hottest areas in terms of growth in the last handful of years, and expected to be for probably the next 8 or so years after now. Another area that's similar to that is what's known as mechatronics. My recommendation for students interested in both of them are the same. Look at the constituent parts that make up that discipline and take those courses. So for my students that are interested in mechatronics, we look at the Principles of Engineering class, where we spend a fair amount of time looking at mechanical engineering, and we look at the sim class where we deal with the programming side of the world. For students that are looking in the biomedical side of the world, my recommendation is take the classes that are going to give you the focus on the mechanical engineering side, that piece looking at the mechanics of movement, things like that, while also looking into our CNA programs or our anatomy physiology programs to get an understanding of the biological side of it. So once you get to the point where you're bringing those concepts together, you'll have already had a good basis to draw from.
I agree. Michelle, this is a question for me. How is the job market for engineers as far as you see it? I know that that's a big question because there's a ton of different types of fields in engineering. What's hot, what's not? I mean, is there good employment? Because every parent out there that's what they're thinking. Is I gotta get this kid out of my basement and we got to get him employed. So
Well, I know I wish I'd see more structural engineering out there, because we do right now for the past few years, actually, it's been very, very difficult to get structural engineers in to our industry. I'm not sure why that is, but I don't know if maybe there's a big interest in a lot of the other engineering fields. Currently, my eldest daughter is actually going into biomedical engineering. Also, she just started her freshman year at UIC. So she's very interested in the biomedical. But yeah, certainly for structural engineering, we're struggling to find people. And I've talked to other folks that are in similar fields, and they're struggling as well, just any type of construction.
I'm gonna maybe turn a little bit the direction of this Zoom. I have to put in a plug for manufacturing too. It is unreal how many emails I get during the school year from manufacturing companies that are located in the northwest suburbs that are just clamoring for young talented students that are in District 214 to come on to their company. This is clearly an area that, even if you choose to not go to school right away or college, you could get into a manufacturing job and work your way up. And really the sky is the limit. And it doesn't stop you from going to college. I'm going to speak for myself. I ran a printing press when I left Hersey, and I worked my way through college doing that. And, manufacturing is exploding in our country. We can't find qualified people to do these things. I'm just going to pick up my camera here just so you can see Hersey's room here a little bit. You'll certainly notice there's tons of CNC machines and manual machines, and the experiences that you get off of these machines are just so invaluable. So I don't think you can go wrong with that. I know that we've only talked about going to college and receiving engineering degrees, but literally this is such a large market that you can get into. I don't know, Jack or Tom, if you'd like to comment on that, as far as if you've seen any interest from companies, contacting Prospect. about, students. I'll leave it up to you if you have something.
I have not had any as of yet, but I also have not, post-COVID, I've not been able to get into the community enough to really get a sense of our business partnerships in the manufacturing side in the Mount Prospect and Arlington Heights area. So that's on me. We'll get there. But I will say groups like ICANN and our PAC program really can give students lots of opportunities to expand their skill sets and earn degrees, earn payments, all while learning really marketable skills. I will say that for my students, not in this district, but in previous districts, every one of my kids that came out of my machining and my sim classes, they would take their notebooks. At this point, I think I've had 7 former students contact me that they sat down for an interview. They brought their engineer's notebook. They showed it to the interviewer. Guy flipped through a handful of pages, slid it back, and that's when they could start. It was one of those things. If you can read G code and if you can handle a setup, you have a job tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question here. What else do we have here? There are so many AP classes. What are the major AP classes that they can use in college to get college credit for engineering? You're right. There's a ton of, I would always, if you're going to be an engineer, I'm always going to say, take all the math and science AP you can, especially physics. I think that'll serve you well and get as far as you can in your math strain that you can, because math is always very challenging in the college level, and that'll serve you well. It really will. So,
I had a thing to say about the college credit too. It's not necessarily AP, but I know for the engineering essentials class, we do have the option, or the student will have the option and the opportunity to earn college credit from an accredited university. It's the Rochester Institute of Technology, and they can transfer their course to that college and instantly get a PLTW engineering college credit. I believe it's like 3 credits for engineering essentials specifically. So I know we're AP kind of, not every college accepts AP credits, so on and so forth. And for this, it's a college credit from an accredited university that can be transferred to any university in the United States. So that is a opportunity for college credit for sure in the PLTW pathway.
in all of our 214 schools offer that, and boy, through the years, so many students have taken advantage of that. Most of our, if not all of our Project Lead the Way courses do provide college credit for universities that accept it. There are a couple that don't, but most do. But even those that don't will be the first ones to tell you the students that they get out of the Project Lead the Way program are more prepared to be successful in the engineering program than those that don't. And the studies bear that out. You have a Project Lead the Way published a study a while ago that the students that take our engineering courses in high school have a 50% better chance of passing and graduating with an engineering degree than those students that don't. And I think that that says volumes. That really increases your chances. And in addition to that, just on a side note, we always get our students that come back and they're all at U of I and Purdue and UIC and all the other great universities in the Midwest. And they always say the same thing. I can't believe how much I learned here and how much I've applied in college, and literally it's made the difference for so many kids. So it really has. So
We find that our students become the tutors to their peers.
yeah, you'll often hear, wow, I went down to U of I and there were kids from all these different high schools from our great state, and they're like, wow, they couldn't believe how much more they knew than those students, and the opportunities. Often you'll hear college students say, I built a high mileage car at Prospect or Hersey or Wheeling or Meadows. All of our schools build that, and or a robot. And here, talk about a functional project. Here they get all their bookwork and everything, but to build a robot, you got to build it. You got to apply everything you learn. So it 214 has done such a great job with that. So what do I have here? The success coach at Wheeling is Veronica Bank. Is
Valerie.
chimed in. So
Valerie Bank, yes.
yeah. So what am I missing, Michelle? what should we tell these people? We have a couple minutes left. I think we're scheduled until what, 7:45, is that correct?
I think so, yes.
So we've got 3 minutes. Take it away, Michelle. You can have the final words.
You put me in the spotlight.
I did. I really threw you under the bus there, didn't I? But what would you tell, I'll give you a question then. What would you tell a high school student who wants to go to Southern, which I think is a great university, is amazing. I think we need to send more kids there. I also think all of our state schools, I'm going to put a plug in for Eastern. We have so many Eastern dual credit opportunities with them. My own personal son went to Eastern. It's a great place, great educational system, and that includes Southern. So what would you tell a high school kid that, you know, I want to be an engineer and I want to go to Southern?
I think the first thing I tell them is just get involved. There's so many really good programs and classes, but there's a lot of different chapters for engineering societies that actually have student chapters at the colleges. So for instance, when I went to Southern, we had the American Society of Civil Engineers, and one of the first things I did was I joined up with them, and we had the opportunity to do a steel bridge competition and also a concrete canoe competition, which is pretty cool. They actually make a concrete canoe that floats and they have to race it, and we compete against different universities. So there's a lot of fun things you can do that are also, it's part of what you're learning. So I think that's the main thing. I would just say, just really get involved and take advantage of those different extracurricular activities that they have for the engineering students. And I certainly would recommend trying to get an internship somewhere during college. Our office hosts interns all the time from different universities all over, and it's a great learning experience for them. And also, you know, we've hired actually our current office president here at the CEG Illinois office. Our current president started out as an intern at CEG. So there's a lot of the interns we get, we try to keep them if they really like it over there. So I definitely would recommend the internships also.
I totally agree with you. And that's where you can't lose. If you're in one of the 214 schools, we all have these engineering programs and projects that you can jump into, and there's so much learning in them. And I'm going to share one brief story before I leave, because I'm the old timer. And I had this student in my class. He was such a great kid. He was just, you know, your hardworking kind of kid. Probably didn't have the highest ACT or SAT score, but boy, this kid was something special. And he ended up building an electric car. And this is like 15 years ago when these were unheard of. And he built this electric car, and he ended up getting accepted into Purdue. And when he was down there, he developed a more efficient electric motor. And literally Silicon Valley and Tesla in that area came and got him out of Purdue. He never graduated. They gave him $250,000 to go out there and continue developing his electric motor. And that all started out of Hersey High School. And this kid would just build robots and cars and everything else. And that, you know, that's how we change the world. So anyways, thank you for all of you, the panel, especially Jack, Tom, Michelle, Chris. Without you, we couldn't have made this night so special. To all the people that have been viewing this, thank you for all your questions, and thank you for participating. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. So with that, I'm going to sign off. Or is there anything that anyone needs to add? Or I think we're there then. Okay, everyone enjoy your night. And boy, that was a great Bear game. I just got to throw that in there. For the first time, I actually watched the whole Bear game. And not only that, to my Boston friends, I had one there. I got to text them on, the Bulls blew out Boston in basketball, and the Bears won and beat the Patriots. So it was a good night for Chicago. So, and it's a good night to all of you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.